Thank you, Ambassador Jul2020, for inviting me to share my thoughts to the members of the Equestrian Order of the Holy Sepulchre in the Philippines. Greetings to our knights and dames from Manila, from Cebu, and of course, from Pangasinan, from the Archdiocese of Villegas and Dagupan. The past months have told us to stay home. To stay home and be quiet. To stay home and be protected. To stay home and be alone with God. This has been a very important period in our lives as sons and daughters of the Church. To stay home. Where is home for us? Home for us is not the tomb. Home for us is not the sepulchre. Home for us is the heart of the Lord. And I invite you to bring to prayer that beautiful scene at the Last Supper, the First Eucharist, when in the Gospel of St. John, he wrote down that the beloved disciple leaned on the chest of the Lord and listened to the beating of the Lord's heart. It was an act of tenderness for the beloved disciple. It was an act of tenderness for the Lord to allow the disciple to do that. That is our home. Our home is not the sepulchre. Our home is not where we sleep and eat and drink. Our home is the heart of the Lord. And in the heart of the Lord, there is no tomb. In the heart of the Lord, there is no sepulchre to hide, because that heart is always beating with love for all of us. Let us continue imagining the beloved disciple leaning his head on the chest of the Lord. The ears were pressed against the Lord's chest. The ears could hear the beating of that heart. That should be our first duty, to listen to the beating of the Lord's heart, to the pounding of that heart, to the passion of that heart, to the pulsating love of that heart. How do you do that? By prayer. By setting aside time for solitude, for silence. And the months of the quarantine have given us a lot of time. Many learned how to cook. Many learned how to do gardening. Many discovered many little corners of the house. Many discovered the useless accumulations of the past. But I hope during the quarantine, because of this pandemic, you have discovered not just to cook, or not just to garden, or not just to discover new talents. I hope it has led you to discover the silence of God, to lean on the chest of the Lord and listen to the beating of His heart. Silence. Silence so that the Lord can speak. That is where our ministry begins, in listening in silence to the Lord's heart. Are you still attuned? It is good to garden. It is good to cook. It is good to discover many unexplored talents. But the essence of our membership in this order is that we learn how to pray, not just prayer with our lips, but prayer of the heart, prayer of the ears, to listen to the beating of the Lord's heart. Lean your ears against His chest. And then, the second gesture of leaning our ears on the chest of the Lord is, where were the eyes? The eyes cannot look at the chest of the Lord. The eyes were looking outward, perhaps to the door of the upper room where the supper was being held. The eyes were looking outward into the world, because the world is also waiting for the love of the Lord. The world is waiting for the message of the Lord. The world is waiting for the meaning of what we are going through. And that is the second component of leaning on the Lord's heart. Your ears on His heart, but your eyes on the world. Because the church, by her very nature, is missionary. In other words, when the Lord allows you to listen to the beating of His heart, it is not for yourself. It is not for you to feel good. It is for you to embrace the mission, so that when you speak, it is the beating of the Lord's heart that your brothers and sisters will hear. It is the beating of the Lord's heart that will speak through your lips, that will speak through your tongue. That is why our eyes are looking outside. They are not looking at the face of the Lord. Our eyes look outside at the door into the world. That is our mission. The equestrian order of the Holy Sepulchre invites us to be mystics in the midst of the world. Mystics like Mary Magdalene, the first mortal to see the risen Christ. Mystics like St. John the Beloved, who ran to the tomb first, but allowed Peter to get inside. The Knights of the Holy Sepulchre are invited to do that, to be contemplatives, to be mystics, but at the same time, to be missionary mystics, to share the love of God to a world that is waiting for meaning, for purpose, for direction, for salvation, a world that is waiting to be blessed. Talk about Jesus. Talk about your faith. Do not keep quiet about it. The Lord said, if you would keep quiet, even the stones will speak, because the gospel has to be preached. This order is not just for personal sanctification. This order is for personal sanctification through mission. You can only become saints by sharing your faith. You can only become saints by entering the tombs where people live depressed, dead, discouraged, confused, disillusioned, hurting, bleeding, and entering those tombs, we bring them the love, the beating of the heart of the Lord Himself. That is our mission. Don't keep things to yourself. As you have heard His beating, as you have heard His love, you must share that love with others, so that all sepulchres will be empty, all tombs will be empty, and all the dead will rise, receiving again the message of hope coming from the Lord Himself. Let us continue our meditation on St. John. On Easter Sunday, Mary Magdalene told the disciples, the Lord is not there. They have stolen His body. So Peter and John ran to the tomb. And what happened? John reached the tomb first. Was it because he was younger than St. Peter? I don't think so. John reached the tomb first because he was the beloved disciple. Peter was a symbol of authority. John was a symbol of love. And love outruns authority. Love reaches the tomb first. Love reaches the sepulchre first. And if you want to reach the sepulchre, be filled with love. Be a loving person. And how is love manifested? By mercy. Love is not just a romantic feeling. Love is not just a good feeling. Love is the sharing of God's mercy with all. The beloved disciple reached the tomb first, not because he was younger, not because he was stronger, but because he was the beloved one. And yet, even if he was the beloved one, St. Peter reached the tomb later, but love gives way to authority. He reached the tomb first, and yet humbly, without insisting on his privilege, without insisting on his right, respects authority. That should also be the mission of the order. While we are filled with love, while we want to be outstanding in love, let us keep in mind that we have to submit to authority. Let us keep in mind that the test of love is obedience. All love is obedient, and without obedience, we would fail as beloved disciples of the Lord. Love outruns authority, but authority sees the empty tomb. Love gives way to authority because love is always obedient. Love is always obedient. Is our love obedient? Do not allow your membership in the order to enter your head and make you proud, because it was pride that destroyed the angels. It was pride that is the reason why the fallen angels continue to suffer. And it is humility that will be our salvation. Love and pride cannot go together. Love and arrogant disobedience cannot go together, because love is always humble. And may every member of the order be recognized worldwide as the most loving and the most obedient. Let us continue our meditation. At the Last Supper, the Lord said, "One of you will betray me." I am very sure that Peter was very close to the Lord on hearing distance. But what does the Gospel say? The Gospel says, Peter asked John, "Ask him, who is it? Is it I, Lord? Is it I, Lord? Is it I, Lord?" What is the implication for us? Peter was the authority. Peter was the prince of the apostles, and yet he channels his prayer to Jesus through love. He does not talk to Jesus directly based on his position among the apostles. He does not use his position to get near the Lord. He does not use his position to get extra information. Rather, he channels it through love, through the love of the beloved disciple. And for those of us in authority, for those of us who hold positions of power in the church, in society, in our corporations, let us keep in mind that at the sunset of our lives, we will be judged according to love. And all authority should submit to love. While love recognizes authority and love is obedient, true authority must recognize that the only way to the heart of the Lord is by being a loving person. I may speak the languages of men. I may be popular. I may trend on social media. But if I have no love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. My dear members of the order, please remember, all of us have some form of authority. But if you want to get to the Lord, it is not your authority that will bring you to Him. It is not your authority that will become your medium to know His message. It is only by love. At the sunset of our lives, we will only be judged according to love. We are guardians of the Holy Sepulchre, and our duty is to keep the tomb empty. So many want to go to the tomb. So many want to stay buried in the tomb. They have no hope. They have no future. They feel depressed. They are confused. They are like sheep without a shepherd. Our mission as members of the order is to fill the world with God's love, to listen to the beating of that heart in prayer, and to share the fruits of our prayer with the world that is waiting for the Lord. Our duty is to love, and to show our love by being obedient to those whom God has given us as authority. Our duty as people in authority is to coerce all power, all exercise of dominion through love. Because the most important in the order is that the one who is highest in position, the most important member of the order, is the one who loves, the one who serves, the one who can lean on the chest of the Lord and go out to share the same love, the one who can reach the tomb first and yet obey authority, the one who talks to the Lord, the one authority uses in order to know the message of the Lord. Let the tomb stay empty, and let the power of our love keep the tomb empty, because the empty tomb is our powerful message to a world that is looking for meaning. Our destiny is not the tomb. Our destiny is resurrection, life forever with Jesus in the Father's house. God bless you all.